Its father spread pandemonium throughout the Midwest. Its arrival will thrill a nation. Its legacy is destined to change the world. Presenting Son of Beast, the world's tallest, fastest, only looping wooden roller coaster. Son of Beast, only at King.
Son of Beast, the sequel to the legendary Beast roller coaster at Kings Island, was the world's tallest and fastest wood coaster when it opened in 2000, and the only wood coaster in the modern era to feature a vertical loop. What could go wrong? Son of Beast is one of the world's most infamous coasters that was plagued with problems, controversy, and injuries, but also broke a ton of records. What caused the demolition and literal downfall of this record-breaking monster coaster? In today's video, we're going to cover the rise and fall of Son of Beast at Kings Island. Our story starts in 1977 when the now-defunct coaster manufacturer, RCCA, or Roller Coaster Corporation of America, contacted Kings Island and told the park they had ideas of building a wood coaster at their park. But not just any wood coaster, the world's first hyper wooden coaster. A hypercoaster is a coaster that ranges from 200 to 299 feet. Kings Island held the coaster's reveal party at the park in May of 1999. During the event, the park placed a crate in the middle of the pathway, and the crate would occasionally growl and make noises like a raging animal. The park called in some favors, and they brought in Montez Williams, and he labeled him as the Doctor of Thrills, and they announced that the Son of Beast would open in 2000 with a cost of $20 million. This was going to have 7 records when it opened in 2000, and here are the 7 records that it was going to break. The ride was going to be the tallest wood coaster at 218 feet. The ride was going to be the longest wood roller coaster at 214 foot on the drop. The fastest wooden roller coaster at 78 miles per hour. The only looping wood roller coaster at 118 feet, and the longest looping roller coaster at 7,032 feet. And the most wooden coaster track at one park with 22,612 feet. Son of Beast was already off to a rough start before the ride even finished construction. At the time, Paramount owned the park, and they fired RCCA before the ride was complete, which led to many revisions and designs to be changed before it opened in 2000. And to top along with that, a few months before the grand opening, a strong storm was in the area of Cincinnati, and the high winds damaged a few spots in the ride, and to make it even better, the entire second lift hill had fell over. Like I said, the problems continued to pile on for the park. They had to push back the grand opening of the coaster because the weather had delayed the construction crews and they couldn't get it open on time for April. And minus the roller coaster, the park got fined $110,000 by OSHA in February that year for 18 safety violations that they found on the construction of Son of Beast. The summer operating season of 2000 was a rough run for Kings Island, with Son of Beast as the coaster was plagued with downtime during most of the year, caused from many track problems and malfunctions with the ride sensors. The ride did not have a good reputation. The public caught on to this and led to terrible public reception that caused the park to file many lawsuits on the companies that worked during the construction of Son of Beast in 1999 and going into 2000. 5 years later, one of the lawsuits was actually resolved in court, and the court ruled that the roller coaster company of Ohio, the insurer Admiral Insurance, had to pay Kings Island $20 million damages, but it was overturned in the appeal court in 2008. And just one short year later, the coaster faced its first major accident, as a train traveled over a portion of the track that caused a slight derail, and it severely jolted the riders. The park decided to close down the ride for the rest of that season. Kings Island decided to replace the train with lighter models, and they worked on repairing the affected sections that caused the derailment. The new trains were manufactured by Gerstlauer, and they were old trains that were actually from the now demolished roller coaster, Hurricane Category 5, that opened and operated at Myrtle Beach Pavilion. The original trains for the ride held 36 riders and were manufactured by Premier Rides. The new ones only held 24 riders in hoping of lessening the load on the structure of the ride. And more problems came along with it. Was later discovered that the lighter trains couldn't even complete the course completely, and the park had to make a decision to remove the loop to help the coaster complete its full track. The park claimed that this would actually lessen the impact of the ride and it would be more smooth and enjoyable for guests. But in 2009, another major accident happened. In that year, a woman claimed to be involved in a head injury from the ride. They closed the ride for the rest of the year, and just like the fated Jog Lake, this coaster did not operate again. As in for the off-season, the park removed any mention of the roller coaster from the website and on park maps. And the final nail in the coffin happened as the park removed all the ride signage in the park in 2010. Throughout the lifetime, Son of Beast saw roughly 7 million guests ride this ride. Many guests didn't care for the attraction. It was oftenly referred to as rough and janky, but oddly enough, it had a small following of coaster enthusiasts that enjoy the roughness of the ride. I just want to say, if you're enjoying this video so far, please, a lot of time and effort goes into this one-man operation on this YouTube channel, and all I ask is if you could like the video and share it with a few friends. And if you enjoy coaster and theme park history videos, definitely check along the rest of the page, some other videos that we've done on Jug Lake and the history of Splash Mountain. And click that subscribe button, as we're trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year. Some other injuries included that 2 riders broke their necks within 4 weeks apart of each other, and another suffered a fractured vertebrae. And in 2007, a rider died 1 day after complaining of back pain after riding Son of Beast. In the haunt season of 2010, the ride station was used for a haunted house called Wolfpack, and it operated all the way till 2019 in the same location. In 2011, the legendary Don Heidelberg said that the ride would be closed a year as well, and the park hasn't decided on the future of the ride, and it is still sat SB&O. And finally, in July of 2012, the park did a final evaluation of the roller coaster and finally made the decision that Son of Beast would be demolished and the land would be used for future additions to the park. Demolition began in September, and the park offered for fans to buy pieces of the roller coaster for $99 that included a plaque and structural bolts for $25 each. The first major expansion to the area came into the park in 2014 with the record-breaking Bollinger and Mabillard, or B&M, invert in Banshee of 2014. If you're standing in line for Banshee, you can see some homage that's played to the former roller coaster in the tombstone with an internal flame for the coaster and a plaque for Son of Beast stating it operated from 2000 to 2009. As of 2023, when we're recording this video, the park hasn't built anything else on this land, but the park fans, and I included, are definitely hoping for a Rocky Mountain construction to make a Son of Beast like remastered or rebirthed or something like that. Son of Beast hit a peak on the coaster awards for 31st place for the top 50 wood coasters of 2005. The layout of the coaster looking back wasn't anything revolutionary, minus the massive drops and a few helixes and of course the loop. The layout was poorly designed and the ride in general was just very rough. If you rode Son of Beast in its operating phase from 2000 to 2009, definitely comment down below what you thought of the ride or your favorite ride at Kings Island if you haven't rode Son of Beast. Son of Beast was doomed and played from the start. It was a very ambitious coaster that broke many records, but the result played out poorly and that caused the injury of many riders and led to its eventual closure. It's always sad to see a coaster get demolished, but in this case I think it was for the best, as the park received one of the best inverts in the world in Banshee from Bollinger and Mabillard, or like I said, B&M, in 2014. If you want to see a ride get featured on this channel or a park or any attraction that is now defunct or still operating, definitely comment down below. This video was recommended by Jackson Bachman. Thank you, Jackson. Like I said, maybe we'll see the park, see RMC take their own spin on the ride in the future and give the ride a rebirth that it so rightly deserves. But the future will tell, and for now we can just look back on the infamous history of this coaster and learn from its mistakes. This was the history of Son of Beast, the world's former tallest and fastest wood coaster in the world. If you have any suggestions, comment down below. Like I said, thank you to Jackson for the recommendation for this video on the history of Son of Beast.